All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take. Sharp and Shapiro, glad you could join us. Of course, a day that we all should remember the heroes, those who lost their lives, close to 3,000 innocent people at the hands of Osama bin Laden, terrorism, Al-Qaeda, and we hope that we never have to endure as a country what transpired on that fateful day. But we are reminded nonstop, almost on a weekly basis, that we have our own terrorists in this country. That's right, Americans that decide to wake up in the morning and commit mass shootings and kill innocent people. We had it happen here. We're approaching almost on the 2-year anniversary of the October 1 shooting, and we certainly will be hearing stories from all of you on that day as well. Switching topics here real quickly, certainly it is the biggest sports story that's taken place in the last 24 hours. We've been talking a lot about AB and the fact that Antonio Brown is a New England Patriot. We've discussed the situation that happened in as far as with the Raiders organization, now becoming a New England Patriot. Well, now we learned yesterday that Antonio Brown is accused of rape, and he's being sued. And there are emails, there are text messages to show really what we already knew about this man, that not only is he severely mentally ill, but he is just a scumbag with the way he talks to him, and he's not educated, he's ignorant, and he's just not a good guy. But we knew that about this man before, but an accusation of rape takes it to another level. You could be a bad guy. Doesn't mean you're sexually assaulting women. And now the NFL is giving serious consideration to placing Antonio Brown on paid leave via its commissioner's exempt list. That's according to multiple people familiar with this situation. Now, I've read a lot about this story over the course of the last 24 hours, and how it breaks down is he had some sort of friendship/relationship with this woman that was not sexual. However, this woman is claiming, and based on his text messages, showing that there were a couple situations where he did some extremely inappropriate things to her, without getting into too graphic detail, because the FCC is not going to like me very much. Let me just put it to you this way. He pleasured himself, and I can't really word this in a way that would not be graphic, but let's just say without her consent, if you understand what I'm saying here. He bragged about it to her in an email that is allegedly his email to her, okay? And then, this is the part that is really strange to me. Now, does it mean that this woman was not raped, sexually assaulted? No. But this is the part that's really strange to me. When she knows that he behaved, and this woman who allegedly is the victim, the rape accuser, when she knows that he treated her this way, when a woman knows, and make no mistake about it, when you pleasure yourself next to someone, I mean, call it what you want. I guess you could call that sexual assault in itself, but why would you continue to hang out with that person? Again, does it mean that she wasn't raped? No, that's not what I'm trying to say. However, credibility is important in a case like this. Look, rape is an extremely serious crime. And as Michael Avenatti said in the last hour, it has to be investigated. But with that being said, why would you continue to have any type of friendship or relationship with someone that treats you this way, that talks to you this way? For the life of me, I just don't get it. I don't understand it. Now, you mentioned it, JD, in the last segment that this woman claims that she passed a lie detector test. Claims her name is Brittney Taylor. She claims she went to one of the nation's leading examiners who previously led the FBI's polygraph program. Taylor claims that, back in June 2017, that he pleasured himself to her and did some other things that I'm not even going to talk about on the radio, but then forcibly raped her back in May 2018. Now, I'm going to bring up some other stuff here. And again, make no mistake about it, we can talk about AB's situation and his past, right, JD? He has a very troubled past. Like I said, there's no question he's mentally ill. And besides being mentally ill, he's just not a good person. You could be mentally ill and still be a decent human being. AB is just not a good person, period. Okay, so let's just end that conversation right there.
That's very hard to argue, especially when you read those emails and those text messages.
He's just a horrible person.
And there's complicity that certainly exists there.
Now, they are countersuing, which, I guess you could have guessed that would have happened.
What, for assassination of character, defamation?
Yes,
or what? Okay.
Yes. So they are countersuing, but I'm going to tell you something. I don't know whether a rape occurred or not. We both don't know. The only two people that know is this woman and him. But what we do know is that the text messages / emails show a pattern of behavior that is just atrocious. He literally admitted what he did, which was masturbate without going in on her. I can't really go more into detail there, but you get what where I'm going with
I
there.
believe his exact words were "bust on her back."
Yes. You can say that on the radio.
Yeah, I can definitely say that. That is FCC friendly.
Pretty disgusting. And by the way, without her consent, which is sexual assault.
And it sounds like she fell asleep in his bed a couple of times.
Right. He has admitted to sexually assaulting her.
Whether or not he was in the bed with her at the time or not.
But that's sexual assault.
We have no idea.
That's sexual assault. So he's admitted to sexual assault. So he has zero credibility in this whole situation. When you do that, zero credibility. Now, again, talking about the accuser in this case.
And then he mentions the come up, how she's trying to get money out of him, et cetera, et cetera.
Right. Which may or may not be true. I don't know.
That doesn't mean that she wasn't raped. If she prefers to hit him financially,
right,
and to affect his career in the process, knowing he already has money instead of sending him to jail for 5 years, that's her prerogative, Brian. That doesn't make her any less or more credible. That changes nothing.
That is her prerogative.
Clearly punitive damages, and she wants money out of this, and that's fine.
Why no criminal charges, though?
Because she prefers money over criminal charges in this case.
Well,
when you file a suit in civil court, you're going after monetary compensation. When you file when you go after criminal charges, it's very difficult to get. I mean, you might get restitution, maybe, but in a civil case, it's much different. And apparently, she's in a state where punitive damages, pain and suffering, et cetera, are part of the equation. She has every right to do that.
And I understand what you're saying. I don't disagree with you. But all I'm trying to do is I'm trying to look at both of these people and their past. Make no mistake about it. AB has a horrible past. He is admitted to sexual assault with this woman, not rape, but sexual assault with the masturbation. That does not bode very well with him.
Well,
so let me just explain what I think is going to happen here. And there's a reason why I bring up, look, you could question the timing of this. Why did she decide to do this now when he's in the news? I don't know. I don't know what's in her mind. Here's what we do know. He's a horrible human being. He's done some horrible things. He's admitted to sexual assault. He is a scumbag. And as you've said on the show before, and you're accurate on this when you say the NFL has rewarded him with bad behavior.
And I think that she recognized that, and she's saying, hey, why should this guy get a Super Bowl? Why should this sociopath get a Super Bowl ring for what he just did to the Raiders and what he did to me?
Well, listen, I agree. I hope the NFL takes this very seriously.
Well,
at the very least.
At this point, it's so far along that no matter whatever they want to look at, whatever any of the investigators want to look at, whether it's emails, text messages, they will be open to because the evidence is there. It's plain as day.
So here's what I think is going to happen, and you tell me whether you agree or not on this whole AB situation. I think based on the evidence. By the way, she also had what do you call it, like a rape kit thing where if you get sexually assaulted, you take samples and that sort of thing. I'm not a doctor, but she did get that done as well. Yeah. So there's probably some evidence there. But with that being said, let me just explain what I think is going to happen here. Based on the emails alone of him admitting sexual assault, he is going to have to pay a lengthy price. There are no criminal charges here. There is going to be a settlement, I truly believe, out of court. The Patriots are going to want that to happen. They're going to want this story to go away as soon as possible. He's going to want it to go away. He's not going to win the defamation suit. That's not going to happen. That's probably going to be dropped. What is going to happen is I think his attorney's probably going to say, look, this looks really bad. Whether you did or didn't do this, there is evidence to show that you have sexually assaulted her before. A jury is going to take her side over yours. You've got to pay this woman, and she's going to make millions of dollars off it. And I'm going to tell you something. If, in fact, she was sexually assaulted and or raped, she absolutely deserves it, and he deserves to go to jail. Yeah. Sadly, and again, I don't know whether he raped her or not, but sadly, we're never going to know the truth there. But if there is some sort of settlement outside of the courtroom, I think that is going to speak volumes. It doesn't mean if you settle with somebody that automatically means that you committed the crime. But in this specific situation, based on everything that I've heard, based on the emails, the text messages, the evidence, and everything else, I lean towards the fact that he probably did rape this woman. At the very least, we know it was a sexual assault.
And then you've got him saying, oh, I'm an all-pro wide receiver. You're nothing. I'm this, I'm that. I mean, he was bragging about the entire situation, about how she's a side chick and this and that and that and this. And I think that a lot of these athletes, regardless of race, and I do want to say something here. You know, Michael mentioned how this has to be investigated. A situation like this, where there is actual hard evidence of some sort, has to be investigated. But a situation like Luke Walton, where that woman accused him of sexual assault, but there's no evidence whatsoever supporting it, that needed to be kept under wraps because there was no evidence to make it public. This is a little different. That has nothing to do with race at all. But I think a lot of athletes think that they can just do whatever they want, whenever they want. They kind of have this God complex. I believe that Antonio Brown is one of those guys. I think he thinks he can do whatever he wants because he is Antonio Brown. And then they knew each other when he was at Central Michigan. He was a 6th-round pick out of college. He wasn't a big player. He wasn't a star. He became a star because of Ben Roethlisberger in that offense. But she knew him when he was a young guy. And I also believe that Tom Brady, this is all coming out while he is living in Tom Brady's home.
That's wild.
Around Tom Brady's children and his wife.
Yeah, that's an interesting decision that Tom Brady's made.
That is very odd, and that's going to have some effect on his psyche, I believe, on Tom Brady's psyche. And then the Patriots, honest to God, they don't need this guy.
Yeah.
Do they need Antonio Brown? They just beat the Steelers 33-3, his old team.
Yeah.
They don't need this guy. He's not going to go back to the Steelers. Who's going to pick him up after this?
Listen, I agree. I think that is a very suspect decision that Tom Brady made, having Antonio Brown living in his house, number one. Number two, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, and Michael Avenatti alluded to this last hour, this guy, AB, is just a horrible human being. He is a scumbag. Text messages show that he is bragging about sexually assaulting this woman. We're not even talking about the possible rape, okay? We know 150% because he admitted it himself in those emails. He sexually assaulted this woman. He bragged about it. This scumbag should be going to jail. He should not be making $14 million playing for the Patriots. He shouldn't be playing professional football because he is a scumbag. And I don't know whether he is a rapist or not, but you tell me this. If you pleasure yourself to someone that is sleeping, that you've never had sexual relations with before, allegedly, and you're bragging about sexual assault, and you're bragging about it to her while insulting her, to me, that's the definition of a rapist. Am I wrong? I don't know. I mean, to me, that's a rapist. That is a rapist.
What it is it's enough to look into, and with what's been going on the last couple of months, it's enough for the NFL to say, whoa, this is not good for our brand. What's going to happen if he plays for the Patriots in a couple of weeks and the Me Too movement starts up? And I mean, all this is happening left and right with these athletes. Tyreek Hill, for example, he got rewarded. Apparently, he threatened he basically hit his kid, threatened the mother of his child, and he got rewarded with a three-year deal for $54 million, $18 million a year.
You know what this comes down to, though? And I agree with you, but I'll tell you what this comes down to. It comes down to money.
Exactly.
With the New England Patriots, with the NFL. Guess what AB brings to the NFL? Money. He is a controversial figure. I don't know what the NFL is going to do here, but I'm going to tell you, I'll say it again. I tell you what's going to happen here. This story is going to go away really fast. And the reason why I think it's going to go away, there's going to be a non-disclosure agreement. Okay, there's going to be a payment that's going to be made. His attorney wants this story to go away. The Patriots want this story to go away. The NFL wants this story to go away. And she is going to be kept quiet because I think it would not surprise me within the next week or two they come up with some sort of financial agreement, and Antonio Brown is back on the football field within a few weeks because he does not have to admit guilt. All he has to do is sign a big check, and he's got money. One thing, Antonio, he doesn't have first-grade grammar. He can't talk. He can't speak. He's a dummy. He's probably a rapist.
Which is the can't talk, can't speak is totally irrelevant. It has nothing to do with anything else.
Well, he's ignorant. He's ignorant.
He is
what I'm trying to say.
But
he's extremely ignorant.
He's clearly mentally ill. I would argue that he definitely has early onset CTE for a number of reasons.
I know a lot of people that are mentally ill that don't sexually assault women.
The damage has been done to his persona. His fan base has been dropped by at least 75%.
Yeah.
And this is going to make the Patriots look really, really bad. Bill Belichick doesn't need this. Tom Brady does not need this. Like I said, this guy is being accused of sexual assault, living in a room down the hall from Tom Brady's son.
I understand when you say he's mentally ill because I've said the same thing. But listen, you can make the argument that I'm mentally ill, but guess what? I'm not sexually assaulting women. Okay, that's not an excuse. Maybe he struggles in day-to-day life with interacting with others. Clearly, he does in that matter. But when you start to sexually assault people, which clearly he's done. I don't have to say allegedly anymore. I don't have to say allegedly that this guy sexually assaulted someone. It is in the email. It is in the text messages.
Not only that, it's the first thing in the email. It's the first thing he says in this dialogue.
He's just a scumbag. There's no other way to describe it.
And he's trying to make her feel bad about it.
Yeah.
So pain and suffering for something like that, if I'm a woman and I know that a multimillionaire athlete has done that to me and there's nothing I could do about it, that alone
All right.
Knowing his intentions would give me reason to get financial compensation for pain and suffering.
Even though this has nothing to do with sports handicapping an NFL football game, I do want to ask you this. Based on all the information that you know, based on all the information in this case, how much money do you think that Antonio Brown is going to have to pay this woman to get her to be quiet?
I think it'll be at least $3 million, closer to $5 million. Do
you think that's what's going to happen?
I believe absolutely. It has to happen. Something along those lines is going to take place.
Are you surprised?
But you want to ask me if I think he'll play again? And again, I'm biased. I think this guy is an absolute piece of garbage. I think he is a total scumbag. I'm extremely disappointed with what he did to our Raiders.
Wait,
and I say ours.
You're not talking about Donald Trump.
I'm talking Antonio Brown.
I thought you were talking about Donald Trump.
I'm definitely talking Antonio.
I almost got excited.
I am surprised that Trump hasn't made a statement about this though.
Why would he? Why would he make?
He makes statements about everything else. He puts himself in every single conversation except this one. That's kind of a surprise to me. But I hope
he's friends with the Patriots. Wait, I'll give you the answer. He's friends with the Patriots. He's friends with Kraft.
But even before he made no, because the Raiders weren't big enough. They're not a big enough name team for them to talk. That's probably the case.
Or maybe because he bragged about sexual assault. You think that maybe might be a factor?
Could be.
Grab him by the pee. Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Very, very possible.
Possible. Yeah.
Bring up a decent point there. Yeah. But my personal bias against him is so strong. I hope he doesn't play again ever. Not just this year, ever. Do I think he'll play again? Yes. I hope he gets, and this is a reasonable punishment from Roger Goodell and Bill Belichick. I hope he gets a 4-game suspension, and I hope Tom Brady kicks him out of his house for God's sakes.
I do find it very interesting. Tom Brady, we think of Tom Brady as the perfect man, right? He's got a great family, great decision maker on and off the field. This is a very suspect decision by Tom Brady, a guy that has a horrible history, right? Horrible history. And now these rape allegations come out. What do you think Giselle is saying? How do you think that dinner table is going? Hey, Antonio, how's that rape allegation going for you? How's that working out for you? What do you think, Giselle? What do you think that discussion is like at the dinner table? Do you think it's ever brought up? Do you think Giselle will bring this up to him, the fact that he is living in their house right now?
Do you think if there is an ottoman in front of a TV that Giselle will sit on that ottoman and watch TV knowing that Antonio Brown is behind her?
It's possible.
At any point.
Why don't we take a few quick phone calls on this? I wasn't going to open up the phone lines, but we'll do that. The number to call, 257-5396. What do you make of this AB situation, this rape allegation? Again, that number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. We'll take a few phone calls quickly here at 257-5396. Let's go to Roberto. Roberto, thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
What's up, Roberto?
Hey, how you guys doing? Great
Good.
show.
Doing great.
Thank you.
Okay, I got a point. You know how all these athletes come out with their own, agendas, like kneeling at the national anthem and the other soccer girl,
yes,
doing her thing?
Yes,
so
you're talking about Megan Rapinoe.
Yes. On this now? How are the other players going to come out on this or in other sports?
Come out in what way? What do you mean? You mean either in support or against AB?
Are they going to do something on the field, like wear a T-shirt saying, hey,
I hope not.
Well, here's why they're not going to do that. Roberto, it's a good question, but here's why they're not going to do that. First of all, it's allegedly, like he raped this woman. We don't know if he did or not. We know he's a scumbag. The problem is a lot of these players on the field have some relationships with this guy, so it puts them in a very awkward situation. Certainly the NFL does not want them to do that, and I don't think they're going to do that. Now, if he went to jail for rape, then I think, yes, a lot of players – but make no mistake about it, the NFL has had issues with this for years as far as domestic violence is concerned. Yeah. This is a story that Roger Goodell, Kraft, the Patriots – everybody wants this story to go away except for this woman and her attorney. And by the way, I don't blame them for it. But, maybe the Raiders don't want this story to go away. Let me take back what I just said because he really pulled one over them. There's no question about it. He pulled one over them as far as the Raiders are concerned. But, yeah, I don't think you're going to – I think if you're asking me, Roberto, the game's on Sunday, if we're going to hear anything about this, maybe in the Patriots broadcast or a Raiders broadcast, somebody might mention it. But other than that, I don't think you'll hear any players talking about it. And if they're asked about it in the locker room, whether it's his former teammates or current teammates, yeah, I don't think they're going to answer the question. They're probably going to say no comment. And some people might actually support him. That wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, mom's the word, I guess, huh?
Yeah, I guess so, Roberto. I guess so, my man.
Sir.
All right, Roberto. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks for calling, Roberto.
Thanks for calling in. Yeah, I don't really think you're going to hear any blowback from players. I'd be very surprised to hear that. Even John Gruden, by the way, has taken the high road on this whole situation. He said AB is one of the most misunderstood guys I've ever. Now, listen. He's taken the high road, but I disagree with that. There's nothing misunderstood about this guy. He's just a jerk.
What that means is I am so happy to get this guy out of my hair.
Of course he is.
That's all that means.
Of course he is.
You know what? John Gruden looked really good. That last play to finish the game in Denver
Yeah, it was nice to see.
The 3rd and 8.
Mm-hmm.
That was a great. I'm very happy for John Gruden. But Jonathan Abram, the headhunting safety, is now out for the season with a shoulder injury.
I heard about
now
that.
He has shoulder, so that's
I don't think I think
a bit of bad luck to say the least. But that's a big loss for them.
I don't care. They can lose every game this year. They aren't out for all I care. As long as they win next year, that's really all I care about. Because they're the Las Vegas Raiders next year. They're still there in Oakland. I don't really care what happens this year. I care what happens next year when they're our team, right? All right. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, this is going to be very cool. Very experienced attorney coming in studio. Her name is Tracy Duthie from the Sandy Van law firm, and we're going to talk a lot about these slip and falls that seem to happen a lot in Las Vegas on a regular basis. We're going to get the lowdown from her coming up next. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to the Vegas Take right here on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KW.